Bad boy.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You are now tuned in to the flyest sports and entertainment podcast in all of the land. This is Stat Lines Matter. My name is Mark Stewart, and I'm here with my partner, as always, Mr. Rob Hunter Jr. How you doing, brother?
What's up, everybody? Look at my print shirt.
Oh, that's why we were talking about Under the Cherry Moon, because you rock. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's Christopher Tracy. For all those Christopher Tracy.
Don't try to act like people know what the character's name was. Nobody saw that film.
I think a lot of people saw that
Nobody
film.
saw that film.
And they know the song Christopher Tracy Parade.
Prince fans know that. We were talking before we started rolling how horrible that movie was.
It wasn't horrible.
It was a horrible. First of all, it was a horrible film.
It's not horrible.
And I'm a Prince fan.
And you ain't finna loud talk me while we on the air.
I'm loud talking Christopher Tracy. Like, I'm not allowed. Unless you wrote that motherfucker. Like, did you produce and write that thing?
No, but I have a organic connectivity towards the project.
We all love Prince, and I love the album. I made the point before is the movie was so bad it actually
so
drug.
You don't get to just declaratively say that.
No, I'm declarative. I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it drug down what was a really good soundtrack. It was an excellent soundtrack.
The soundtrack was amazing. The movie,
but the movie drug it to the ground.
Avant-garde. The movie was avant-garde, and people went to it expecting to see Purple Rain, and they got something different. Just the way that Prince will do it. You can go there expecting him to do Purple Rain, and he won't do it for 7 shows.
That's true, but let's not act like Purple Rain was some masterpiece. Purple Rain was a bad movie that was linked together and chained together with some amazing concert performances.
Purple Rain was a masterpiece because of the concert performances. And they were in there. You don't just get to take those out. And
no, I'm not taking them out.
Francis L. did a good job, and Prince's mom did a good job crying on the curb.
Yeah, but what they were asked to say in Prince's below average screenplay was not up to the par for what is it, Clarence Williams III?
Clarence Williams.
Who's a fine actor by his own part, but when Prince writes your dialogue, it's all bad.
Don't I keep the heat on?
Don't I keep the heat on is like words that should never be used.
Yeah, because you don't really supposed to.
Yeah, who's celebrating like keeping the heat on?
Yeah, you don't get to like give your wife the business because you keep the heat on. Especially in Minneapolis.
That's the bare minimum. Yeah,
Minneapolis.
Yeah, the failure to keep the heat on is like you're an asshole.
It means death for everybody.
Yeah,
you can't survive in Minneapolis without the heat.
Hey, man, please. Anyway,
don't I keep the heat on?
Terrible.
If I wasn't living here, you wouldn't have the heat on? And
don't start at me. Prince is amazing. He's my favorite. But no, we not stamping Under the Cherry Moon.
And then he came in. How mad can you actually look coming in the house with high heels on, looking for your daddy?
Yeah, what you gonna do?
Where are you?
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'm right here.
Answer me, motherfucker. Come on, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me.
Perm out that his head.
Hey, listen. The one thing I will say you
gonna be crying like your mama. You keep on. I just whoop up. I'm to whoop your head.
Wow.
And I know you got a show later on.
The Under the Cherry Moon. The only good part was the record store part. That was funny.
The record store part.
Record store part was funny.
And then the performance.
Record style.
Hole in Your Hand was great.
I mean, the song is crazy.
It was great.
It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah, man, Christopher Tracy. And then they had all my man from the daggone Victor Maitland.
Yeah, but it was a waste of Victor's talent.
Wasn't a waste, man. They played 2 playboys out there doing their thing. Wasn't it in the south of France somewhere?
Nobody knows. Nobody saw it.
Hey, comment under this. Let me know. Let y'all
like,
know
if there's 10 people who saw Under the Cherry Moon, I'll be shocked.
Man.
Somebody should check, see what that box office was real quick before we get off.
Nah, that is not a true reflection.
It is a true reflection.
Don't nobody check that. That's not even important to the argument.
I'm standing by nobody saw that film.
Don't nobody check it. I forbid anybody to check it. We don't need to do that.
Why? Just let it be. Why don't you check it?
Because everything is about stats.
Everything is about stats. This whole thing is about stats. That thing did $10 million at the box office.
It cost $90,000 to make.
Yeah, that you didn't have to tell me.
No, I don't know how much it cost to make.
I think NBA YoungBoy had a video on YouTube that made more than $10 million.
Master P's I Got the Hookup.
Yeah.
Made more than $10 million.
Anywho, let me ask you this. Did you happen to see or hear It was a couple days ago now, but Kanye West, who is a topic on the show quite a bit, was riding around, I guess it was L.A., trying to find his daughter's birthday party. Now, let me start out by saying this. Let me just kind of frame this a little bit. I am not the person to, I think wives and families are off limits for the most part when it comes to general discussion, you know, particularly for like the forum that this is. But when everybody's a public figure, mom's a public figure, dad's a public figure, and then you go on Instagram Live to share your story, you're inviting people to discuss it. So we're going to discuss it a little bit.
Okay.
For some reason that I don't know, because I'm not part of this equation, they didn't want to tell him where the daughter's birthday party was.
Sounds like a lot of black dudes in Fulton County sometimes. My baby mama playing with me.
Clearly that was happening. And it turned out, according to Kanye, that it was Travis Scott who hit him up and said, this is where the party at.
That's right.
What on earth?
Well, look, at first I thought it was weird. At first I was like, I mean, you on social, but like it would be weird if he only had 200 followers. If you trying to find directions someplace, you know what I'm saying? You got 10 million followers. That's not a bad place to look. If I'm looking for a Thai fusion restaurant and I don't know, and I got 10 million followers, I may go on and say, hey, y'all know where a good top fusion restaurant at, and
That's not what he was doing, though.
But exactly. But he needed directions. He needed.
No. He wasn't asking his fans for directions. What he was saying was, no. Let me at least reset this. He was going on to say that what he was trying to do was control the narrative. He was there. He was there for PR. He wasn't there. He was there for PR.
Yeah, but he wouldn't been no PR if Kim just wanted to send him the address.
So then, doesn't that like? At least in my brain, I don't know if yours works this way or if anybody else's out there works this way, but mine does, is if you're a billionaire celebrity father, you're maybe one of the most important creators of modern times, what would you have to do or be capable of or have previously threatened in order to get uninvited to a birthday party that I'm sure lots of people were at? Like, that's the question that I have, is what did you do or what sort of environment was created to make them go, let's not do it at our beautiful palatial estate where we live. Let's go somewhere else that he don't know. You're running from him like you trying to take the baby mama and not go to this Chuck E. Cheese. We going to the Chuck E. Cheese in the next town. Like,
sometimes the baby mama can be a little bit vindictive, and so we don't know. We don't know that. And I'll say this. How you going to not let him come to the birthday party, which he ended up coming to, which by all, the footage that has come out, looked like it went swimmingly. But you going to show up to Atlanta to all his, album release parties, his listening party, Atlanta, you in Chicago, you basically are helicoptering in the kids and to all of his album release parties. But when it comes time for the birthday party, you ain't going to get a man the address. So he trying to come, you could pull up, but he can't pull up to the birthday party.
But see, I actually think that's more damning on his part, because what it shows on Kim and her family's part is that they were embracing the idea of co-parenting. Then so it asked yourself the question, was the fact that she was dating again? Did that change? Because he certainly threatened to beat Pete Davidson's ass in the track that he put out.
Hey, which is pretty funny to me, because I think, if she was dating Indomitian Sue,
yeah, he ain't saying that.
He would say that.
I'm gonna come over and not beat your ass.
And then Kanye, just be careful now. I don't know if Pete is on that stuff, but he looked like it. And meth strength is a different type of strength, just in case. So don't pull up on him if he look kind of geeked up. That's all, because you don't want to get your ass beat by the new guy and he a white boy. I'm just saying it's a bad look from a PR standpoint. I ain't saying white people can't beat up black people. I'm just saying it don't happen that often.
Nah, I mean, listen, I don't know what happened, and we probably don't have to do much other than stay on Instagram, because Kanye will probably get on there and tell us. I would say this, my suggestion to Kanye is try to keep your business, like particularly with your ex-wife and your kids, for their sake and for your kids' sake, try to keep that stuff off of social media, because it wasn't Kim and her family that went to the press and was like, yeah, we keeping it.
But
away from
they
the
said
thing.
Callie was the one that told that met him at the front and told security to stand down.
Well, because what they probably didn't want at that
Try to avoid a
moment,
scene.
try to absolutely avoid a scene, especially in front of the kids and
Well, and why
the party goers.
Pete don't need to be there. Ain't your daughter?
Well,
That's a little soon for you to be coming to the.
Look, man, you know how.
Like,
listen,
what is that?
I've been with the same
If I just kicked
person.
it with a chick for like a month or two, I ain't finna come to the baby birthday. I mean, that's a little weird, and especially when the daddy want to come. Like, y'all got that? Just holler at me when he leaves.
People get very selective when they start talking about the rules of engagement with babies, mothers, and fathers.
But shout out to Pete though for taking on 4 kids. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they just dating it. Whatever he taking on.
But when you showing up to the baby birthday,
you make like he seemed like he.
If you dating something,
bringing them sneakers and whatnot.
Dating a new woman for 6 weeks and you show up to the baby birthday party with her 4 kids, that's a little more than that.
Man, you making it sound like they was going to the Chuck E. Cheese. They were having an extravaganza. That was just to get to. That was an event
at her house or wherever.
Yeah, but they live on acres and they have square footage up the yin yang.
Who you going to see? Did my new chick? She got any kids? 4.
You know, in L.A., kids' birthday parties are not kids' birthday parties. They are events for the parents that
like
happen to be
folk.
there. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. They wasn't going to Chuck E. Cheese like he up there cutting the cake and riding the rides.
What I'm saying, these 4 kids that's Kanye's, they looking at him like, this finna be our new daddy?
I hope not. Is that a...
They don't let Breaking Bad be our new daddy?
I don't think that's what they doing anyways. Man, I hope that's not the dynamic. Are you my new daddy?
Hey, and Pete, I'm not saying you own meth. You just look like it. So if I ever meet you in person, and you
I think he has a condition.
What's the condition?
I don't know, but I don't think he has a condition.
Just a random, just a meth.
He's not on meth. He's not. He's not because I think he has a condition.
Looks methy.
No, I think he's ill.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know.
All right, so wait a minute. Is he on TV still or no?
Yeah, you can be ill and on TV.
I'm just saying. So he's managing. He's
managing. He's function. Like there's lots of people who are managing autoimmune and all that type of stuff, and that are on television.
All right. Well, hey, well, I mean, from what I understand, the Kardashians are pretty. They help folks get through stuff. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Lamar Odom. You know what I mean? They help you manage. So you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Hey, look, he looked methy. If you are on meth, maybe they can help you get off. I
can almost guarantee you he's not on meth.
You going okay?
Yes, I can almost guarantee.
Well, hey Pete, sorry if you ain't on meth. My apologies. And if I meet you and you ain't on meth, but if you are on meth and you really truthfully on meth, I won't tell nobody.
Shout out to meth.
Shout out to Breaking Bad.
So I want to introduce is actually an idea that you came up with, because obviously our show is named Stat Lines Matter, and we, a lot of times when we're having conversations offline, we're talking about things that matter, things that don't. Does this matter? Does that matter? So we would decide to bring that segment into the show of, does this matter?
It matter?
That was the way you would say it. I would say, does this matter?
That's because you got better education than me.
I actually don't. I'm pretty sure you got farther in your education.
I graduated in summer school.
So did I.
Oh, we tied.
Yeah. What was your GPA?
Like a 1.25.
I got you beat by, I graduated at 1.33.
So my wife didn't believe that I graduated with a 1.25. She was like, no way, no. And I showed her. And she just couldn't believe she married somebody that stupid.
No, what's funny though? I graduated in the summer with a 1.33 and still got accepted into a college.
So I'm saying you got me beat.
But I didn't go to college.
I enrolled,
but I got accepted
to community college, and I was still in remedial courses at the community college.
Now let me ask you this: Were you remedial? Were you in remedial coursework because you were remedial? And would you even admit that to me right now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Are you remedial?
That's actually a good question. I think so.
Keep it a buck. Are you remedial?
Yeah, probably.
Really?
I think I could be remedial.
Like you could be dyslexic or something, but you legitimately have you have an inability to learn. Like you mad slow, son?
Yeah, I think. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with the learning thing.
Okay.
Is that I always thought that they how hard is it for you to teach me something that you've been going through every you got the same
right. You got the answers.
got the answers the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like the learning, it was antiquated. Like the classroom setting.
How would you like to be taught? If somebody came in and said, I want to teach you about such and such, what's the best way for you to learn?
Interactive. Like I want like don't tell me about the rocket fuel show. I want the rocket fuel.
Throw the rocket fuel on me.
Yeah. That's the best way. But as far as honestly, if I think that here's what I.
Or did you just not apply yourself? That's the real question.
I didn't apply myself, and I also think that I had a bit of a hyper.
Like a tension.
Yeah. Because when I found something disinteresting or boring, I just was like,
checked out.
Terrible. And then I honestly thought I was the smartest person in the room all the time. Like I honestly thought.
Did you say that in past tense? Because I would argue that I would say that in present tense. No. I would say that right now.
I learned
Nothing's
later
changed.
in life that I'm most time definitely not the smartest person in the room. But I felt
if
like
you're the smartest person in the room all the time, you're in the wrong room.
Find a new room. Yeah. But yeah, and lack of discipline in the home, So
you really
single parent family.
So you
it wasn't
really
my mom's fault. It wasn't her fault. It was just
circumstances. Yeah. That's kind of the same situation with me. I wasn't remedial in any sense. I had a lot of advanced courses.
Your glasses, you couldn't be.
No, well, I didn't have these.
People that's remedial don't wear frames like that.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with these frames. Like I didn't even wear glasses back in the day. I didn't glasses until I was like in my 40s.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I think back in those days, I didn't care enough. I didn't apply myself. It didn't matter to me. I had a lot of advanced courses.
Man, no, I had remedial in high school.
Yeah,
I might be remedial for real.
You might be mad slow, son.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like now, trying to think of like I might. Damn, I'm getting.
But you know how I switched. You know how I knew it was something interesting about me because I took a year off of school. When I graduated high school, I graduated in the summer, and then I think not a whole year, but maybe 6 to 9 months later, I took the ACT and I crushed it. And it was my test scores and an essay that I wrote that got me accepted into college. But I would have walked in. Had I gone to that school, I'd have walked in immediately on probation. See, I would have walked in on academic probation.
I took the ACT and I scored one of the lowest scores in the history of that's real. That's a true story.
How does that even happen?
Okay, so apparently you're supposed to study for the ACT.
Yes.
And I didn't know that because I never studied for any of my tests. So I got the book for the ACT a week before.
Yeah.
And I studied probably all of about 72 minutes. Like a little 10-minute, this day, 15-minute this day.
Yeah.
And I mostly just went over the vocabulary words because it was just easier to do because they had the little cards.
Yeah.
I was like, this part I'm going to do well on. And then the rest, I'll figure it out. And
wow.
That didn't happen. That my plan didn't work.
All went down after that.
It didn't work. Yeah. So it's a miracle that I'm sitting next to you.
And me next to you. Because when you come from a single parent home, which I did, and you graduate with a 1.33, it usually goes very differently.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be talking through a plate glass.
Exactly.
How's the baby? Mm-hmm. Did mama them used to go to see mama?
Did she give you the money that I told her?
Yeah.
She give you that money?
Because I ain't never get it.
Yo. Facts. Tell us about this segment. Does it matter?
So basically, does it matter? Is just I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay, and then I'm gonna pose you one, but you're gonna go first.
Pose me one. Okay. And then I'm based on the set of circumstances. I'm like, yo, is there something substantive there, or does it matter?
Yeah.
So
all right, let's get into it. I'm down. I'm down for all this kind of stuff.
All right. So the first one is with the Lakers beating Utah the other night. I believe they won the West last year. They currently, I think, sit fourth or fifth in the playoff picture. They beat a fully healthy Utah squad. The Lakers are still trying to find their footing all season, but without AD. So with basically a hobbled LA squad and a fully healthy Utah squad, do you think that that's a substantive win that could be the jumping off point for something? Like, does it matter that they beat Utah, or is it just a blip in January? Do
you want me to answer that?
I want you to answer. Yes.
No.
Okay. Why not? So it don't matter.
I don't think it matters at all. It's a game in January, mid-January. It was on a Tuesday.
What if it was on a Friday?
Friday games do mean more. A little bit more lit. People date night. But on a Tuesday, not so much.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, listen. I thought about this a little bit, and here's why I'm saying what I'm saying. One, on a sort of generic level, it was a home win. Lakers won at home, so it's not. I think I would have been more impressed had they gone to Salt Lake and got that win.
Road wins are more impressive.
Yeah. I think two, although they were healthy, Donovan Mitchell was banged up. He had a back, and then in that game, I think he hurt his knee. So he's kind of playing through some injuries, and he didn't shoot the ball very well that night. And I think as you project this for the season, I think you have to look at a couple of key things. One, I think when it's all said and done, the three most important players on the Lakers who get the most usage, who have the ball in their hands the most, LeBron, Westbrook, and AD when he comes back. LeBron shooting a very impressive 36% from three-point line for the season. I know he's in a clip right now it's trending a little higher than that, but for the season, over the 44 games, and I don't know how many of those he's played in, but over the 44 games, he's shooting 36%. I think that's impressive for him because I think he's shooting about 8 a game. Westbrook shoots about 5 a game. He's shooting 29%.
That's not
and AD, although he's down to about 2 a game, he's shooting like 18%.
Like a career low, yeah.
Yeah. So he's not shooting as much from the 3, but he's not shooting the 3 well at all. When you compare that to, and for the purpose of this comparison, I've compared that to Utah, who they just played, and then the 2 top teams, Golden State and Phoenix. Those same 3 players on those teams shoot on Phoenix, they shoot 37%, the 3 of those guys. On Utah, they shoot 39%. And those 3 guys, I had to do a little bit of a projection for Clay. Clay's last season, he shot 40% from 3, so I plugged that in.
It's going to be much lower than that.
Yeah, and even right now, in the small window, he's shooting almost 37%. Yeah. And this is with him trying to get his legs and whatnot back, right? So I think the ultimate difference in terms of, like, what does this mean is, like, the problems, like AD coming back full strength doesn't change the flaws in this team. The guys who are playing the most minutes, the guys who are starting, the guys who have the most usage don't shoot all that well. And that's what LeBron shooting more threes and about a little bit better than he has in his career. But those other guys are still struggling. Also, the Lakers are, I want to say, in the bottom 5 in turnovers. And the only other team...
They've been improving, though, exponentially over these past probably 10 games. But, yeah, they were the worst in the league.
They're not the worst now, and not in this moment, but they're, like, in the bottom 5. The team that's second to the bottom is actually Golden State, but Golden State, I think, offsets that by being the number 1 defensive team.
Would not have guessed that.
Yeah, the second most turnovers in the game is Golden State. But it has a lot to do with their ball movement and the way, like...
Okay, part 2 to the question then.
So I'm just saying, overall, I don't know if it means as much because the flaws that are on the team are not going to get solved by AD coming back.
Okay, with that being the foundation, if they somehow right the ship and LeBron wins his 5th ring, would that make him the GOAT in your eyes?
No.
If he wins back-to-back and he gets 6, would that make him the GOAT in your eyes?
If he gets 6 rings, that would make 6 wins and 12 appearances.
Correct.
Then we could have a conversation.
We could have a conversation.
And when he gets 7, then I'll shut up.
Okay. All right. But given that the Lakers are damned for the 2021-22 season, if he somehow was able to rally the troops.
No, damned is the word you would choose. I wouldn't say damned.
You're basically saying there ain't no way.
Well,
given
to
the
me,
composition of the team, because I
don't think there's no way they win a championship. But that doesn't mean the season's for naught.
Well, okay. So if you look at normally, right, Westbrook has always been the square peg in the round hole, right?
Yeah.
Always been that. Wherever he's gone outside of obviously OKC, because he started there. So in Houston he was that, in Washington he was that, and now he's that with the Lakers. But if you think, so I was thinking about this just a little bit, and this is just obviously purely conjecture, but if they're able to find a way to make it work with him, because I think AD coming in is an easier piece to fit if Westbrook has found his sea legs inside of the Laker rotation, the starting five. He's able to find his game and something that is obviously is conducive to wins, as opposed to what we've obviously talked about, which has not been. He's been one of the main reasons they've been losing, if not the main reason.
Yeah.
So, if he's able to find, that some sort of measure of synergy, AD coming in is not necessarily the piece that you have to fit, because he fits pretty easy on most teams. I think that could be the start of something. That's why I thought the Utah win was particularly interesting. I remember I talked to you about the Indianapolis win in overtime some weeks ago. But the Utah win to me is a little more substantive, just simply because they were hobbled and Utah had their starting five.
I think, and I answered the question from the perspective.
Yeah.
I answered the question from the perspective of
I was just having
the larger conversation. I think anytime you get a win over a top team, it's not insignificant. I don't want to go the other way and de-emphasize the importance of getting a win for a team that needs a win. Like, they needed a win. And particularly they needed a win against a quality opponent. So
which they finally got.
Because they haven't had many of those this year. In fact, they've had some bad losses to bad teams.
Sacramento, the loss right before that was a bad loss.
And then they got their doors blown off by Memphis, I think the game before that.
Yeah.
So it's significant to that point.
Memphis
is balling. But let me say this, and here's the second part and I want to move on to the next question.
Okay.
But here's the bigger problem for the Lakers, is that where they're sitting right now, which is 8th, and now there's a group, 6, 7, 8, or whatever. But the problem with the way things are laying out is the Lakers got to get out of the 7, 8 spot. Because the 7, first of all, they don't even want to be in the play-in, because they ain't guaranteed. They barely made it out the play-in game last year. They don't want to be in the play-in game this year with Minnesota, who can bite you on a night. The Clippers getting guys back. If they get Kawhi back, they're right there. If you're in that 7, 8 spot, and let's say you get through the play-in, whether you get Golden State, Phoenix, it's one and done. It's just a question of how fast.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't care if you're fully healthy. I don't care if Magic come back. I don't care if Kareem come out. Like, it's one and done if you're in 7 or 8. Then the problem is you got to really get to 4 or 5, because now you're in the Denver, Utah, because you don't even want Memphis at 3.
Yeah, and you don't. I don't think you want to be playing Denver.
Not with Jamal coming back.
Going on the road.
Exactly.
Up there in that thin ass hell.
I think
with the weed mixed in it.
I think that's the biggest problem. And then you talk about championship possibilities. If you in that 8 spot, or let's say you get to that 4 or 5, right? And you're in the Dallas, Denver, Utah area. You get through that, and your reward for that is either the Golden State or Phoenix. So either you catching them in the first round or the second round, it's going to be difficult for them to make it through. Not because they might not be hot. They might be hot. But when you get in the playoffs, it's hard to get through those teams. Those teams are good, and they'll be well lathered up at that point.
Well, we'll have to let it all play out.
Well, yeah, because the one thing we know through COVID and through this particular year with injuries is like things can end up a certain way. But the reality of it is, whether it's through injuries or through COVID, you got to get out there and play. And right now, there are 22 basketball teams through 44 games. So we're on the other side now. We've seen more than half the season. We got a sample size. I think they are who I think they are. Now, I think everybody's sort of anticipating them ripping off a 6 out of 8 or 8 out of 10. Like I wouldn't be.
They're waiting for it.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
Yeah, they're waiting for it.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if this is a 41-41 basketball team at the end of the season, or a 42-40 basketball team.
Well, I mean, that's what we've seen. And it's always been this caveat, right? When they get healthy, when they're all on the floor. But I'm starting to lean a little bit towards that may not happen. just because with COVID, like you said, and given AD was fairly healthy throughout the whole season. Then first round, you know what I mean?
And he doesn't seem like a guy that plays through injuries.
The only guy that's gonna be there is Westbrook. He don't never be hurt.
And he need to take some time.
Yeah, he need to just go.
Because I ain't gonna lie, he mashed on Gobert. But then the thing I was tripping on is like the Laker fans and the bench and Westbrook, they went up like they had just won Game 7 of the finals. Like, are things that bad in LA?
That dunk was crazy.
The dunk was crazy, but it was like,
make sure y'all put that in this segment. Right?
But the dunk was crazy, but I feel like,
and I think Russ needed that.
But I feel like they was ready to stop the game and like
low key when you come in the locker room, they be like, oh yeah.
Listen, it ain't never been an issue with Russ dunking. The issue is always going to be taking care of the ball.
Yeah,
the problem with that
he
team,
can't finish at the rim no more like that. He dunked on the defensive MVP.
No. I didn't say he couldn't finish at the rim. I said he can't do it with the regularity that we see. Like the thing about him.
He heard you though.
He might have.
He may have listened to that episode.
But the question is, can he keep doing that for the next 40-something games? That's the question. All right, so here's what I got for you.
What?
In the does it matter?
Do it matter?
We back to, is it do it matter?
I don't know.
I think I like does it matter.
Does it matter? Yeah. Okay, doesn't matter.
Because stat lines matter, but does this matter?
Ask the question.
I read yesterday that the Brooklyn Nets, my Brooklyn Nets, well, really the Bulls are my primary team, but I like rooting for the Nets. I love KD. Are the first team
newfound since he joined the Golden State Warriors.
I love KD in Oklahoma City. I love. To be truthful, I love KD at Texas.
Oh my gosh.
No, I swear to you. I called my boy Chris Hicks, check in. I said this to Chris Hicks.
In Baltimore.
No, I'm going to tell a true story.
High school.
I called my man Chris Hicks when watching KD play in college. And I literally hit him up and I said, is this the greatest skill set that we've ever seen coming from a college player? I said that when he was in college. Right. So we're clear.
I mean, that's a lie.
It's not a lie. I'll get Chris Hicks to vouch for it.
No, he lying.
Because we had, and then he was like, bro, he's like, I was literally sitting here thinking the same thing. We had a full-blown conversation about Kate. It did happen.
Chris Hicks don't lie for him.
Chris Hicks wouldn't lie for me. Come on, man, straight shooter. Okay, so the question is, the Brooklyn Nets have been the first team, the first organization to publicly and actively go into the metaverse and to enter the metaverse. Does this matter or not?
Okay, I'm going to say this about the metaverse. I have no idea what the hell the metaverse was. I'm going to say it matters only because I texted you 2 nights ago, and I said, what we going to do about this metaverse? Is it racism there? Should I go? He said, we need to mess with it. I said, because if it's racism now, I'm going. I stay in this verse. I stay in the universe. I ain't got to go to the metaverse if it's racism there. So, but then you said, no, it's not like that. It's about, crypto and all this.
No, I didn't say, no, let me be clear. I didn't say if it was racism or not. I'm saying,
yeah, but you said
I don't know
we need
about
to mess
that.
with it. No, you said
I said we need to go in because it's about we got to get
Correct.
paid.
And we don't want to be late to this. So that's
this ain't the thing you want to be late to.
That's why I'm saying it matters.
Yeah.
Because you told me that it does matter.
Yes.
Don't worry about all that racism.
Yeah.
And I said, all right,
exactly.
fine.
You bringing up old stuff.
I'm not going to worry, but if you tell me don't worry about the racism, all right, I ain't going to worry about it.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, so I did actually,
you looked into it.
Looked into a little bit.
Yeah.
And I guess they have this interactive experience where you can actually,
sit on the floor.
But I think, yes, and be in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
And it's from obviously a virtual standpoint, but I think that this thing is obviously the future. But when they're able to actually, because right now it looks like a video game. Right. When they're actually able to get this thing looking lifelike, I think it's going to take on a whole different, a whole different sense of importance. So and shout out to the NBA. The NBA is consistently the most progressive league amongst the big three. Hockey don't matter. Baseball, basketball, and football. NBA, Mike Slive, David Stern, they've always been the guys pushing the envelope forward. I mean, you got like baseball. Still, they ain't even got no play clock. They still don't have. I think they need a pitch count. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, to speed the game. Can you imagine getting that ball back?
But you're a baseball fan. Why does the game speed matter to you?
Well, it doesn't necessarily matter to me.
Not to get off track, but I'd love to hear this.
I think it would be a more exciting game if you didn't have, a whole minute and a half to throw the next pitch. If you had to throw that thing in the next 15 seconds, I think that, they get the ball back 15, 14, 13. You don't need all that. Hey, get the sign in. Let's go. Let's get this thing going.
That's a good point.
And then, obviously the infielders are ready. Nobody's taking, daydreaming. They're you got to stay on your toes and get this and get it go. I think that the baseball, if they instituted a pitch count clock,
right,
I think that they would immediately see a jump in viewership.
That's fair. I'll say this because I know we vowed to never discuss baseball.
So to answer the question, it does matter that.
But we're gonna finish this baseball shit.
But I just.
I'm coming back to that.
Yes,
but
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
The baseball.
Baseball is my first love. I fell in love with baseball first. So, and I remember you told me, I think we were very early on, and I think it was episode 2, and we talked about baseball. He's like, man, don't nobody like baseball, man. We ain't talk about that shit.
I never said that. Don't bring up the tapes.
No, I know it wasn't on. No, you didn't. No, you didn't say it on camera. You didn't say it on camera. You were you kind of said it to me, and I don't think nobody care about baseball like that. And that I knew that to be a fact. But I'll say this. I said, well, look, remember I said, give me one episode a year where we could talk baseball, and that's over. We could do it over the All-Star break. Yeah. But we're going to throw a little bit of baseball in here. I think the problem with baseball has to do with what you said, even though the slow pace of the game doesn't bother me because I grew up loving the game. I love a 4-hour baseball game, but that's just me. I have time. I don't have to really be anywhere, but more times than not. So I can watch, when I watch a baseball game, I can watch a baseball game. But I think the bigger problem in baseball is just simply marketing. I think there's amazing baseball players. A lot of them don't baseball has an opportunity to be what soccer is because it's truly an international game. You have Otani, who came here from Japan. You have the Latin American boys. You got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's a star. You have
Does he use batting gloves? His daddy didn't.
That's a good question. What's my guy in San Diego? Shortstop. Tatis is a beast.
Tatis, Machado.
Oh,
they got the whole.
You have a lot of guys who English is not their first language, and they haven't figured
Baseball
out.
Is.
Yeah, and they haven't figured out how to make that work because we're no longer in that sort of Roger Maris or Mickey Mantle or moment where the talent is homegrown. Now, and then here's the other problem: the talent that is homegrown, like my man out in Anaheim, Mike Trout. He's not very marketable. And when you have the rules of the game where it's don't show off, we're training these kids here in America to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. So by the time you get these guys to the bigs, they don't, whatever little swag they had or whatever little marketability they had has been ripped off of them by every traditional baseball coach and manager that they've ever played for. Conversely, the guys that are playing in Korea, the guys that are playing in Japan, the guys that are playing in Latin America are literally playing the game with flair and style. And then when they get over here, it goes against the grain.
Correct.
If they let that just go, the crowd will get younger. Now, you're going to lose some good old boys, but that's okay.
Sure.
They need to go find what they need to find in a less diverse environment that they're comfortable with. For me, I want diversity in the game. I like soccer. Part of the reason I like soccer is because it's international. And you have all those fields. I think you need that in America. So that's my little baseball rant for the day.
And you're right about that. I think, and I was about to say, that if they take the whole right way to play the game out, if a guy hits a home run, he deserves to flip the bat as far and as many rotations in the flip as possible, and get a chance to style going around the bases. And I think they need to outlaw the brushback, the intentional brushback.
Yes,
because look, you had your shot. He beat you.
Yes, so
you should take away the 97, 98 mile per hour fastball close to the face because that could kill somebody.
Absolutely.
So I think that if they add the pitch clock and if they take out the chin music,
now you got something. Now you got something that we'll come on there and talk about.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you'd be super lit. I mean, all the guys look at the way that my man he got hurt for the Braves. My guy
Acuna.
Acuna. Yeah. The type of enthusiasm.
I love the way he plays.
He plays the game. Ozzy Albies,
Yeah.
Marcell Ozuna, who didn't play this past season. These guys play with a passion and fervor for the game. That
Marcell likes to hit the women.
He like to hit the baseball too.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but he likes to hit
whatever he doing.
He was hitting the ladies.
Marcell, if you hitting on the ladies, don't do that.
Yeah, stop doing that.
Don't hit on the ladies. You hit the baseball,
not the ladies,
not the females.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We here at Stat Lines Matter against domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
On what my wife do to me, we against that. Okay. So we
that needs to stop.
Yeah, I almost called the number one time.
Yo.
I'm not putting there's a phone back. Remember the wireless phones we used to have in that? Man, she threw one of them. It came woof.
Wow.
Like in slow motion.
You're like.
I was like, man, I was just like, I'm glad the kids didn't see that.
Yo. Anyway, so I have one more. Okay. I have one more. Doesn't matter for you. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is still on the 76ers.
Yes.
It's mid-January.
John Wall still on Houston. They're both healthy.
Yes. Does that matter?
That he's still on the roster?
That he's still a 76er?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. Wow.
Because if he gets traded, it can tip things depending on who he gets traded to.
Correct. Because they were in first place at this point last season.
Exactly.
And they entered, obviously Eastern Conference Finals as the number one seed. So obviously, and I believe they win, check my numbers on this, 64 to 66% of the games. It could be higher when he starts. So they win most of their games when he's on the floor.
And I think I want to say too, just quickly, that's notable, and it doesn't get discussed that much, that Philly's ability to, because all those teams are sort of around each other, but Brooklyn and all of them were there. And then in the last 2 weeks of the season last year, I want to say 2-3 weeks of the season, Brooklyn slid. They had been sitting in that number one spot. That probably cost them a championship because they ended up against the Bucks in the second round.
Right.
And they would have avoided either Philly. I think they would have had Philly easy, but they would have at least avoided the Bucks to the third round. And by that time, might have had a more healthy Harden, and maybe even would have had Kyrie back.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it matters in the regard that if they ever get that worked out, it's a different ball.
I think he's out of there. I think he's never going to play for them again.
He's better than Maxey, and he's better than Shake Milton. He's better than those two point guards. He's better, and not to mention the whole reason that he's out of there was because I believe he was made a scapegoat for the loss against the Hawks. I mean, you're asking your third offensive option to come up big, and
just to come up.
But
just to come up. He didn't ask him to come up big. He had like 6 points.
Well, but I don't think that's bigger than Joel Embiid going, I believe, 3 for 21 in the second half of games 4 and 5, like that, and then 0 for 12 in the fourth quarter in those two games. So
that's fair. But I don't think he's been scapegoated, because I think we all saw him literally not just not trying to shoot the ball, but trying not to get fouled as well.
Joel Embiid was 1 for 10 in the fourth quarter,
but he was still playing basketball.
But you can't. But Michael Jordan can't do that.
No,
LeBron can't do that.
We ain't talking about Michael Jordan.
If you're the number one option, you gotta in games 4 and 5, you have to hit more than one shot.
But do you realize? You do realize. I don't have to tell you this, because that sounds condescending.
And what about Tobias Harris?
Not
to mention,
I don't want to sound.
Is the third highest paid player on that team.
I don't want to sound condescending, but they were playing 4 and 5. He was literally trying not to shoot. He was going, I have a layup, I'm going to pass. I don't want to shoot, and I don't want to get fouled.
He's a pass first guy. I mean,
I'm not a pass. We all are pass first guys.
But
if you're at the rim, he was at the rim. He's 6'10". He was at the rim and he passed in a clutch situation.
You gotta shoot that ball. Oh, okay. Yeah. But I will say this. And I was talking to a Philly fan actually during that series. Ben had to play better.
Yes,
you can't absolve him of that.
Yeah,
he has to play better. But I think that I don't think he was the reason why they lost that series, and I think that it's a super unfortunate position for him to be in, and I don't know how you fix it. I mean, because
they got to trade him. Because
if you think, but if I'm Embiid or if I'm Tobias Harris, those are the two guys who go. There's other guys on the team, but you can't get in a room and work that out and be like, bro, we need you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and Doc need to get in there too and be like, oh man, let's do this. You look at Brooklyn, they have a big three. We can have our own version of a big three. Let's get out here, man, because they don't stand a chance of beating at least Brooklyn,
right?
Without
No, without him.
Yeah, particularly what he does on defense and rebounding. So,
let me ask you this question. We didn't even go to talk about this, but if you're the Bulls, would you put a package together to try to get Ben?
Probably not, because I believe
Ben with those shooters with DeRozan and Levine,
but what you have
could be
with
nasty.
Lonzo and Alex, you're gonna have to get rid of Lonzo. I think
Lonzo. I would say Lonzo, Patrick Williams, the draft pick from last year.
Yeah, from Florida.
Florida State.
Yeah,
going to be nice, by the way. And maybe one other rotational player, not Caruso. I love that for the Bulls.
I just think that I think it's almost like the same guy, except obviously Lonzo's a better shooter.
Lonzo. It's so funny. They were talking about it in the telecast the other day. I know we're like meandering everywhere. They're talking about it in the telecast the other day.
Lonzo's a willing shooter too.
He's a willing shooter and a deadly shooter, and teams are still playing him to his old reputation.
Yeah,
because he's shooting 7 threes a game at 40-something%.
Here's the thing, though. I actually think that trade would work out for both teams. I do. I think that Lonzo an asset anywhere he goes.
Right.
Like, places like that Curry ain't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he would be an asset in Atlanta. Honestly.
Yeah. I think Ben Simmons on the Bulls makes us a devastating team.
And it ain't even that far. He just go down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to absolutely try that.
So what did I say? Did it matter? Did it not matter? Like
I think it does. I think what you said is that it matters, because I think a trade of him, I think, can reshape the playoff configuration.
I mean,
depending on where he goes.
Yeah. Do you think? Okay, here's a question I have. Do you think that John Wall can be the difference maker for a team?
I don't.
No,
I don't.
Okay,
I don't.
And why not?
Because
he's healthy.
I don't believe he's healthy.
You know what? And you know what? Him and Westbrook got their contracts are about the same. So
like $44 million.
Yeah, so they can make that trade.
I'm not 100.
They get him and they get Terrence Ross.
But ask the question. Ask yourself the question. Why would Houston have him back? They already had him.
Yeah, that's true. No. I'm saying trade him.
But what I'm saying is
trade deadline coming up in February.
But what I'm saying is, why would Houston take him? Why would they take Russell back?
Yes. Well, I thought about that. Yes. Yeah. I was just.
There's literally no motivation for them to do that.
Zero.
Because I thought about that. I was like, well, Wall, buyout market, but
zero.
There's no motivation for them to do that.
Yeah, zero. And plus they've sold out for Kevin Porter.
Yeah.
And Jalen Green and their young talent, Christian Wood, which they should.
Yeah. No, I mean, you listen. It's not always popular with the fans, but sometimes tearing your team down is the best thing for you to do to get back.
They got a good foundation.
Yeah.
Now, what about? Gosh, man,
no, I mean,
we didn't cover Eric Gordon though. Like, you look at a guy like Eric Gordon. Like, Eric Gordon is a nice movable piece.
Yes,
that can help a team win an actual championship.
Yes.
Come playoff time.
Yeah,
he can knock down the long ball is what you're looking for.
You're definitely looking for the long ball. And that, going back to the original question, I still think for anything to matter for the Lakers this year, it has to include shooting coming in. And it has to, and in order for shooting
going out,
and it would mean somebody taking that Russell contract, because that is such a part of the problem.
It's an album
in the way he plays, and it's not just this year; it's next year too. That is not going to immediately get solved unless they just go. Maybe next year they could cut bait, because you can't buy out until you're in the last year of the contract, right?
I don't know. I don't know what his contract.
I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me.
I know it's bread.
No, he's making a lot of money, but it's a lot of money this year and next year. So I don't even think they can entertain a buyout till next season.
And Genius, they're cheap, so they not.
Well, because they're not one of the more profitable organizations. I mean, they ain't
gonna be profitable in LA with the Lakers. Like, I don't even understand.
That may be a whole nother podcast. Is like how is that one of the most valuable franchises not one of the most profitable?
Bread. Unless they're cooking the books.
Listen, we obviously gone a little bit long, but I want to talk about, before we get out of here, a really kind of serious issue, and one that I know that you're passionate about and I'm passionate about, and that is, we're in the time of year where coaching vacancies have become available. Coaches are getting fired left and right. Now, we pretty much had everybody that's going to get fired. I don't think anybody in the playoffs is going to get fired. Most of the teams remaining standing are in a good place with their coaches. So you have jobs that are open, and you have guys that are like auditioning or interviewing for jobs. And then there's the Rooney Rule. So what I want to get into today is talk about, is the Rooney Rule working? Is it doing what it intended to do? Are black coaches getting a fair shake out here to coach? And because I believe certain things, I know you believe certain things, and I'm going to let you carry this segment because I know you're very passionate about this. What do you think about the coaching situations? Who's getting an opportunity, and who do you anticipate landing in one of these open spots?
Well, I think that the Rooney Rule is working beautifully. As you can see, and reflected by the one black coach that we have, by the Rooney family.
I mean, I think
it's awful. I mean, it's been a disaster.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute the Rooney Rule. He can't be the only one participating.
Right.
We got one little sad coach, Mike Tomlin, and that's it. And he ain't sad. I'm just saying, reflective of the whole entire league. You got one coach, and
that's truly benefited from the Rooney Rule.
Yeah, but I mean, it can't.
And it wasn't even a Rooney Rule when he benefited from it.
That's right. And I think the Rooney Rule, the other people and owners are supposed to participate.
Well, they're mandated. So let's reset there. They're mandated to interview. The idea of the whole Rooney Rule was, because the rumor has it, and obviously I wasn't there, but the rumor has it that they interviewed Tomlin, not really thinking that he would be the coach, but they was like, let's interview this guy. He blew him away. Fast forward, he got the job, and he's been one of the most successful coaches of the franchise.
Yes.
They interviewed a not likely candidate.
And they were like, oh.
Yeah, he's really impressive. So the idea was for them to give opportunities to interview or to mandate that black coaches be interviewed in order from a dual purpose, to get them prepared for what these interviews are like, and to maybe discover some undiscovered talent.
Right. So think about how ass backwards that is, right? They had not to hire. The Rooney Rule was just to interview. So they couldn't even get an interview. You couldn't even be sitting in the lobby with your resume with everybody else. It was basically only, it
was a club.
Caucasian.
It was a club.
Candidates.
Yeah.
So the Rooney Rule is not to hire. It's to just interview.
Right.
You can't go through your process without interviewing one minority. So I do think it's been. I don't think that's an opinion. It's been a disaster. I mean, you got guys like, you still in the Rooney Rule age, right? You still have guys like Joe Judge getting a job in an A market, like with the Giants, when he never ran nothing. I mean, this guy was a receivers coach and a special teams coordinator. That's it. They interviewed in 2019. They interviewed him and Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy, his first year taking over the offense, and you could say he had Mahomes. Mahomes was a de facto rookie quarterback. They had the number one offense that year, and then the next year they won the Super Bowl. So they're interviewing, to give the backdrop, so they're interviewing Eric Bieniemy and Joe Judge, who was a receivers coach, who everybody knows the problem in New England that particular year was the receivers weren't that good. So you got a guy who's walking in with number one offense, Super Bowl MVP, and with a quarterback in his second year, and a Super Bowl championship, and you got a guy that's a damn receivers coach, and you go, you know what? We're gonna take the guy, and the guy that had Tom Brady. So you're gonna take the guy that's a receivers coach, and so given also the backdrop that particular year, they drafted Daniel Jones. So essentially, you would have been putting Eric Bieniemy in the same spot that he was in with Patrick Mahomes. Well, he's obviously shown the ability to develop a new quarterback.
Right.
So, same thing with Matt Nagy. You look at Nagy when he took over the Titans offense. They were 20th. Next year they were 5th.
Nagy was from Kansas City.
Nagy was from Kansas City. That's right. That's right. And then Bieniemy takes over, but he doesn't get the same allowances, the same the same credit.
100%.
So you look at these blatant disregard. You look at Byron Leftwich, who's now starting to get some looks.
Right.
When he took over the offense in Tampa, the next year they were number one. That's with
Jameis Winston. Yeah.
The next year they win the Super Bowl. He getting looks now, but he getting looks then. And we took Arthur Smith last year. We hired Arthur Smith from the Titans. That's who I was meaning.
Yeah, Arthur Smith. Yeah,
Arthur Smith with the Titans. I mean, a guy who had similar. He took over the offense. They were somewhere in the lower in the mid range, and then they were third. And this is a guy that we're hiring, and he was He was only an offensive coordinator 2 seasons. He coached tight ends before that.
Right.
And Bieniemy was still out there coming off. Now this is his 3rd season as the offensive coordinator. They had the #1 offense last year.
Yeah, it's that's the one thing, and I call this I think, and guys, we're gonna be really honest about this conversation. This is not an anti-white position. This is a position on really trying to bring light and emphasize the fact that there's some very qualified black men out here, but there's also some perception problems amongst those hiring. And in order to maintain those perception issues, we have the goalposts that move, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is years ago when we didn't have, I remember we had Art Shell. I don't know if you're old enough to remember when Art Shell was
with the
coaching.
Raiders.
Yeah.
And Rhodes.
We had, a couple guys, but they were
fired after 1 season in Green Bay going 8-8.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And there was always sort of this idea, well, if they were more coordinators than they would, that shows that you can go and move up and get the job. And then we started seeing a lot of successful coordinators on both sides of the ball. Let's take this year, for instance. Leslie Frazier, who has head coaching experience, is
with the Vikings.
Yes, he has the #1 defense in the league this year in Buffalo. You have
you would think it would
Raheem
Quinn.
You say Raheem Morris.
Radio Raheem.
I want to say he's like 5 or 6 rated defense. You have even the guy Vance Taylor, who has head coaching experience.
This is y'all interviewing Byron.
Yes. Have head coaching experience with Arizona in one. I think he had 1 year. No, I'm sorry, Denver in 1 year. Is now the defensive coordinator for Arizona. They're just outside the top 10 in defense when the year closed out. So you have these guys, these black coordinators that have had success captaining defense, and then you look on the offensive side of the ball. You have Bieniemy, who's the offensive coordinator for the #4 offense, averaging 28.1 points per game or 28.2 points per game. And you have Leftwich, which is the #2 offense, at 30.1 points per game. If these guys were white guys, they would be hot commodities, no questions asked. You could literally book them all in jobs right now based on their success.
Sure.
But when I go on message boards, when I go on Bears boards, when I go on stuff, and I won't say it's everybody, it's not everybody, but it's a mixed bag. And I think I'm sensitive to the comments that come out and go, anybody but Leftwich. And then just for giggles, I go, well, why? And they'll just throw out something generic and go, he doesn't have any experience head coaching. Okay, Leslie Frazier does. You want him? Right. He got the #1 defense. Right. Well, anybody but Leslie Frazier. Well, why? Oh, well, when he was at his last job, he didn't do very well. Do you want experience or do you not? Because Pete Carroll had experience at New England before he got
with the Jets.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Jets. Wait, did he coach?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and before he got Seattle. And that didn't stop him from getting a second and a third job. Belichick going from Cleveland. So there's great examples of coaches.
Bruce Arians,
Andy Reid. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with having failed in one job. You learn something, you figure some things out, you go to the next job.
That's the narrative with the white rehire, though.
Exactly.
But they don't get that same.
But you don't get that same. It's like it's just a total failure if it's a black coach who took his lumps in a job, because it was almost like they view it almost like it was charitable and he should have never got the opportunity to begin with, whether he earned it or not. And I think that's what bothers me about this. And I think it's like what people shouldn't be afraid to talk about. And if the conversation makes you uncomfortable, then maybe you part of the problem from a perception standpoint. And I think we're naive to think that some of these ideas that live amongst the fan chatter don't also exist in the front office chatter, because I think it affects how they hear their fans talk and their experiences. I think affect how the front offices make these decisions. One of the things that I think gives them an out is these Zoom interviews. I don't like these Zoom interviews because they're being able to say, and like the Bears, for instance, I've interviewed like 17 coaches because they bring them in on a Zoom because now the coaches don't have to leave the city that are still coaching their team, and they get on, and it's letting them go, oh, well, we interviewed him. It lets him off the hook.
Sure.
But you need to bring Byron Leftwich in. You need to go to dinner with him. He needs to do he maybe did a whiteboard, but he needs to do a whiteboard like, nah, this is how I get down. This is what my offense is about. This is what I'm about as a leader. I don't think you can get that over a Zoom conversation.
No, I mean, we interviewed, or the Falcons interviewed Bieniemy that way.
Yeah.
With the Zoom call. Now I believe this conversation is starting to obviously with all the firings that are going with Brian Flores, is generating obviously some more heat, if you will, on the NFL hiring practices or lack thereof as it relates to minorities. So if the Bears do hire Leftwich, you will have a new fan in Rob. Hey, what? You don't want me coming on?
No.
Why not?
Because you don't mean it.
I mean it.
You're only here for race. You only coming to us for race. Race monger.
I'll just be rooting for. Hey, wait a minute. He was a former Atlanta Falcon quarterback.
Yeah, golly, he was for like at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Nah, listen, man. Listen, come one, come all. We'll take all of. We take all of. We will take all the support we can get out of Chicago.
This is what I was thinking though about this, to expand this a little bit. We hit on this a little bit with the wives
episode.
All of these guys that are looking for opportunity. Look at Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders was nowhere near about to get a job in the NFL. I'm not sure he even one. Not sure, but now the light is on him.
Yeah.
So these guys if you have prior NFL playing experience, or you're interested in coaching, these nil deals and the ability to go out and recruit. The thing that the FBS programs have had over FCS programs has been the resources.
Yep.
And that nil deal has now, it hadn't closed the gap, but it is surely.
It put some people in the game.
Exactly. So you look at a guy like Travis Hunter, and they're saying he didn't, he has to wait to sign that deal with Barstools until he graduates.
Right.
That's the thing that you couldn't even remotely come close to offering. And you look at Deion Sanders is doing all of this stuff at Mississippi.
Yeah.
Of all places, in Mississippi. I think that if you're looking for an opportunity, and I'm not telling Bieniemy to go, obviously, he'll probably get his opportunity at the highest level at some point.
Yeah.
But some of these other guys that are coaching running backs that probably could coach a college football program. Now you have because what's going to happen is Deion Sanders, and I forget, I believe it's the 72nd class in the nation. If you're able to do that, the TV contracts and it will come, and the money will come.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for an opportunity,
particularly a skill like a quarterback, running back, you get a guy like we saw it with McNair. If you go back when McNair, they were playing. Alcorn was playing at what was effectively was he playing at Alcorn or Prairie View?
He played at Alcorn State, but the game was against Prairie View, with the one that they showed on ESPN.
Exactly, that's right, man. Great catch. But they were playing at a field that looked like a youth league field. It didn't even look like a high school. It was like Texas Stadium, the high school stadium.
Yeah.
Yes, T.C. Williams all the way.
Yeah, Herman
Boone type stuff. But they had them cameras down there.
Yeah, and they will come. So, and I said this before. If you look at who's not going to watch a game with Ray Lewis on one side coaching and Deion Sanders on the other side coaching. Yes. Now, I know those are two of the more bombastic personalities that have played the game. But still, if you get a guy like a Byron Leftwich, I'm saying like a Byron. I'm not saying go out and get Wesley. I'm saying Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes type.
Yes. If you go out and get these guys, obviously could have been coaching.
Right.
So now their ability to recruit is the one thing that you have to be able to do at the college level. I don't know what type of recruiter he is. I'm simply saying that when you come in with that NFL experience, and you're able to broker deals for guys and get them money and get them resources that they otherwise would not be able to get at a black college, now you can do that.
Yeah.
I think guys should really take a look at that
as a real option. 100%.
And you right that those contracts can be every bit as big as the ones in the NFL. You look at the one that Mel just signed. That's all TV money.
Right.
So if you can, so it will come. You just have to just have a little bit of gumption to go out and be like, yeah, I'll coach. You know,
but I think they got to go now. I don't think you can wait because I think that this NIL thing is going to
coming.
The NIL thing is so out of pocket that they're going to come in and lock it down because of the. I don't care what nobody says because of everything you're saying because of the way it evens out the playing field. Not even out the playing field, but it closes the gap. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and all that money that's coming into the University of Georgia.
Yes.
All that money is coming into Texas A&M. All that money is coming to Clemson and athletes, TV contracts, and if that stuff starts going to Fisk University, if it starts going to
Tennessee
North Carolina
State,
A&T, if it starts going to FAMU, which it can.
Yes.
It can. You think about what Deion Sanders has people looking at the games now, not the halftime show.
Right. Yeah.
Black people show up to the HBCU games
for the dancing and the
now
music.
They're showing up for what's going on the field.
Yeah. And that product because Deion's two boys were both 4-star kids, right? Mm-hmm. So now you're adding a couple more 4- and 5-star kids. It don't take a lot of 4- and 5-star kids to improve the level of play.
I mean, you're signing a big class is what, 25?
Yeah.
A small class is 16. 17 guys.
So you got 5 guys that are 3, 4, 5 stars. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
And because you don't even get ranked guys at HBCU.
Right.
He got a few of them. And he got the number 1 guy from his alma mater.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't sign there, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter was
committed.
A heavy lean.
Yeah.
FSU who ended up at at HBC in Mississippi.
Yeah. He was a flip.
He was committed to FSU?
Yeah, he was a signing day flip.
Okay.
The early signing period. Yeah.
And all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, he threw one of the Georgia hats and I'm like, yeah, throw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey man, go to where, blaze your own trail.
Yeah.
And him doing that just really put some fuel behind this whole conversation. But Deion, that's showing trust, man.
Yeah.
And then we have a lack of trust between us and some of our universities, but it shows like, okay, I'm gonna put literally my pro playing career in your hand.
Yeah, I'll say this too, because we've had in the past we've had podcasts devoted to the idea of amateurism, and I didn't buy the whole amateur athlete amateurism thing. It's business. I was looking at Notre Dame, which I'm a big fan of. Which is obviously a blue blood program, big time program. And I was watching them yesterday. They have a great content team. So yesterday was the first day of winter workouts. And I was telling my wife, I said, people don't understand what the commitment is to be a college athlete. Because you know what a pro athlete is right now that didn't make the playoffs? You know where he's at? He's on vacation. And he's going to remain there till April at the mandatory minicamp, which is 4 or 5 days. And then the OTAs, which isn't mandatory but not mandatory, which comes a little bit after that,
right,
depending on the team. The college player is in winter workouts, and they ain't optional.
Right.
That's 6 a.m. runs. That's weightlifting, go to school, come out. Their commitment is all year round. They're working right now for some shit they're going to do in September.
They have voluntary workouts. If you try to miss one of their voluntary workouts,
you're out of a scholarship.
Yeah, you're in the doghouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
and if you're in a football factory, you're out of there.
Yeah. I know that. I don't want to speak on this university, but it had something called mat drills in the morning, which is basically like basic training for football players. And if you miss the mat drills, you could potentially lose your scholarship over.
Yeah.
And that's something that I had a personal knowledge of.
Oh, okay. No, and I just think like we love to think of this as like the 1950s or 60s or even 70s of, oh, you're getting an education in exchange for playing a couple football games in the fall on Saturday. And it's like, nah, these guys are getting real surgeries. They're having real injuries. They mamas are nervous. Son hurts himself, dislocates his elbow. And we just look at it as fans and go, oh, he'll be back in 4 to 6 or whatever. That's somebody's baby. That's somebody's son, 18, 19-year-old kid, going under the knife, having surgery for Notre Dame or for Clemson or for Georgia or for Alabama. So when you start talking about what's at risk and getting money in exchange for that, I think it's all in play. Now, we talked about how do you do that. I don't know if NIL is the best way, but it's the first step.
And it's a start.
It's a start.
To at least getting being able to have some of the smaller players give them a chance to see, okay, put your creativity, your business creativity, and obviously Deion Sanders, you know, he's the first one. He's actually the first coach to sign a player to a nil deal, one of his D tackles. When it struck 12, he already had the deal in place. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you look at that, and it's just an opportunity to get, you know, where you didn't really have a seat at the table. Now you have one.
Yeah, they gotta close it quick though, because when you heard that
T-Boone Pickens,
you just imagine. Well, T-Boone is no longer with us. Is he still?
He might be.
We should have him on Dead or Alive.
Yeah, is T-Boone Pickens? Is he alive?
But
I think he is.
But every school got a T-Boone Pickens, right?
Yes.
Texas A&M, I think, facilitated 30. Texas A&M
got Texas.
Texas A&M facilitated $30 million worth of nil deals. That's why they have the number one class. Really? They have the number one class.
Well, see, I saw on Rivals that A&M did.
No, A&M.
Okay.
A&M. They have the number one class, $30 million worth of deals. I don't think that is going to work out. I think when it's all said and done, they should have went to the stipend or some, you know, level stipend or whatever. Freshman this much, this many years in the program. Like by the time you're a senior, you should be able to pull some decent money out because real money is being generated. They're going to a 12-team playoff not because they want to improve competition. It's not going to improve competition. Shit, we didn't have no good games. Like I was thinking about this the other day. Actually, me and you were talking about this morning. If Georgia plays in that 4-team tournament without Alabama, it ain't even nothing to talk about. If that's Notre Dame or Baylor or Oklahoma State and Michigan and Cincinnati, that's like watching y'all practice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Based on what you using Alabama as the gauge. So going to 12 teams ain't finna make it more competitive. That's for money.
Sure.
That's to get money. Yeah. That money needs to be redistributed to the guys who out there laying their bodies on the line.
Yeah. And you think about they have 22 hours, right, a week. Well, between I believe it's Monday through Friday. It could be Saturday, but you have 22 hours in addition to going to class. You know, these are professionals.
Yes,
because the work doesn't stop. The 22 legal hours,
right,
that you have that the coaching staff has with their players,
right.
But everybody knows that the 22 hours is not. And you're expecting me to go to class. You're expecting me to, you know, remain eligible. This is obviously a minor.
And at Notre Dame, you're not expected to just go to class. You're expected to excel in class and lead in class. Like you're not just there. Yeah. Like that's a real load.
I was never gonna go to Notre Dame.
I mean, look, it is a very difficult place, and there's a few of those schools, but of those schools, we probably play the highest brand of football. The Northwesterns, the Stanfords, and Vanderbilts.
Football with the academics.
With the academics. So what you're saying is the kids are there. They're required to do the work on the field and off the field, and it's in the weight room. It's in the 6 a.m. runs. It's all that stuff. Film study and all that. And knowing that you're doing it not just because you got to keep your scholarship, because there's another guy that wants your position. Yeah. So it's the natural competitiveness, and then it's like I got to survive here because I'm eating. You know, I'm working for my food. Like I'm part of the program. That's how I eat.
They're majoring in football.
100%. This is a great conversation. I want to come back to this because right now none of these jobs, Minnesota, Chicago, Jacksonville, Miami, Houston, none of these jobs are filled yet. We will see when the playoffs end and all of that, Leftwich, all these guys, where they end up. Some of these guys will get in, some won't. But I want to bring light. I think the idea of us having this conversation is to bring light in terms of, and to bring intelligent discourse to how black people feel about this. Because I think sometimes it makes white people feel uncomfortable when we talk about the opportunities that we want black coaches to have. And it's not necessarily at the expense of white coaching candidates, or it's not that we don't want the best. But if you got the number 2 offense, don't start changing the rules up and go, well, the number 2 offense wasn't really because of you, it was because of Arians. But then you turn around and give Joe Judge a job who didn't have anybody's offense. He didn't have anybody's anything.
Nothing.
And then he failed miserably, and you act like it never happened. I think that's the thing that gets under our skin. So we'll come back to this when some of these jobs get filled and some of the other things play out. We were going to get into the NFL, but we're running a little long. So we
did a little bit.
Yeah, so yeah, but I'm saying the playoff matchups.
Cowboys and the ridiculousness.
Yeah, so we'll come back to all of that.
They think they Alabama. I'm just saying they act like they're supposed to win.
Listen, I think
they act like they be like flabbergasted that they lose. Like, why y'all ain't made the playoffs in the past 2 years? And y'all go, Hey.
I don't think it's funny. I hear the noise from
fans.
I mean, they're fans. I think every fan base wants to win. I think all the noise.
Totally surprised.
I think all the noise comes from the people who hate the Cowboys.
I think all the time.
See, I identify a little bit different because it's the same thing happens in Notre Dame. People hate Notre Dame. They don't even know why.
Like Jerry Jones, this is the worst loss in the history. What are you talking about? Y'all lose all the time. They've only made the playoffs 11 times since '96.
Shit, that's more than my team.
But I'm saying that was the last. That was with Jerry Jones's players. I mean, Jimmy Johnson's players.
Yeah.
Like since Jerry Jones has had the final say, they ain't done nothing. They be legit acting like Alabama when they lose, they like, man, we expected to win the national championship.
Yeah.
They be like, y'all like they
but
expect to win the Super Bowl.
But you know what's funny though? But you know what's funny though about that?
Be nowhere near the Super Bowl.
But you know what's funny about that though? Before Alabama got Nick Saban, they fans still acted like that.
Not like how they do now, though.
Of course not. They got 8 of them things or 7 of them things or whatever. But before that, they were still like. But you know this when they had the Mike Shulas and the people like that, they were literally still acting like Bear Bryant was gonna come out that tunnel and lead them to victory. Anyways, we're gonna sign out right there. Like always, like I always say. But even more importantly now, because we're really building something, I want to thank everybody. We seeing a lot of love, getting a lot of love out here. Keep subscribing, keep liking, keep hitting the notification. Tell your friends, tell your mama to do it, tell your daddy to do it. Hit us up on our Twitter. Hit us up on our check our TikTok.
Look for us in the metaverse.
We are definitely going to the metaverse, and we're gonna be fly up in there too. But no, check us. We're Stat Lines Matter everywhere: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify to hear the audio of this, or YouTube to watch us live and in color. So listen, we thank you guys for checking in. Thank you for always being supportive. My name is Mark E. Stewart. My partner, Rob Hunter. We are Stat Lines Matter.
Peace.
I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face.